What's going on, guys? It's your boy Omen here. A little bit of a different kind of video today. I'm gonna hop on it and just start with a tier list. I mainly play killer, but I do hop back and forth from survivor and killer. Play a numerous amount of killers back on PS4 before I switched to PC. I used to main a few different killers, but a lot of them got nerfed. A lot of them got buffed. There was a lot of changes. And there's a lot of changes and a lot of differences that I don't think people really understand. A lot of people are quick to put certain killers in a lower tier because of their play style and how they play them. But I don't feel that way. Like my tier list is a little bit different. You know what I mean? Like some people plays like fucking Trapper and he's terrible. And I don't agree. So. But if you don't know who I am, I go by Rare Omen. I stream on Twitch mainly, twitch.tv/Rare Omen. I usually put my link in the description of my videos, and I also upload onto YouTube, but I'm mainly on Twitch every day except for Sunday. But now that that's out the way, let's start with the tier list. It's going to go in this order right here. It is going to include the newest killer, Sadako, or the Onyo. Whatever you want to call her. I usually just call her the ring bitch. She's the newest killer that was released. So this list will also include her. This list is going to include everything, okay? The killers with their add-ons, how they perform with their power against weak and strong survivor teams, Swifts, solos, all of that. Assuming that, nowadays survivors mainly run the most meta perks of all time. And as well as how they perform, with just meta perks and general perks in general. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to be talking about just the killer by themselves and just their power. No, we're going to be talking about these killers with viable builds and add-ons that you use to win the game, get as many kills as you can or whatever. And we'll see if we can kind of agree to disagree. Of course, the list is always going to be subjective. You may think a killer is weaker or stronger than I do, which is fine. But I have a lot of hours between PS4 and PC, and a lot of experience on both sides of the field as survivor and killer. So I know how it feels to go against these killers, and I know how it feels to play with these killers against strong survivors. So we'll start off with Trapper. As you see, it goes from godly, very solid, could be better, 50-50, and free escape. Real quick, so the 50-50 category is pretty much it's all depends on the survivors at that point. 50-50, you could either win or lose that game being that killer. No more, no less. It's one mistake can throw the game for that killer. Whereas another killer of a stronger caliber, it would not be a 50-50 unless you're just not good with that killer, or the survivors that you're playing against are just not that good as either. Trapper, Trapper is very good in my opinion. He's not trash. He's not ass. He's not terrible. He's of course is very add-on reliant, but that's a lot of killers nowadays. But Trapper, I'm pretty confident putting him in could be better. Could be better because he, like I said, he is add-on reliant. Back before his changes, you would see 90% of Trapper killers with running a trapper bag or a sack or whatever to carry more traps. Now that he doesn't need that and his add-ons were reworked and he was able to do a lot more different things, I feel like he's more viable. You know what I mean? You could actually run add-ons that you want to run instead of just one add-on that you want to run and a trapper bag. You know what I mean? He could be better, of course, but at the end of the day, Trapper without his traps is an M1 killer. He's not the fastest killer. He's not the highest mobility killer. When his traps are on him, he shuts down loops. That's it's simple as that. He shuts them down. You take him. Your trapper and a survivor is running you to shack. Okay, let me put a trap down. The shack is now off limits. Simple. He's that strong. Now he's not very solid or godly, but he's that strong. He can shut down loops, and he doesn't get the credit he deserves because people just see Trapper as an M1 killer who puts traps down. They can be disarmed, but he has add-ons that can make it so if they do disarm it, You know what? I think one shows their aura of the last person who disarmed it. Another one, if they disarm it, they get injured. Another one, if they're trapped in it and they disarm it, they're slugged. Like, come on now, no, come on now. Trapper could be better, but he's definitely got a good trapper, especially basement trapper. Don't even get me started on basement trapper. Basement trapper will single-handedly win you the game. That's it. That's all that needs to be said. He can single-handedly win you the game as basement trapper. You may not want to play as basement trapper, but that doesn't mean that you can't play as basement trapper, which is why he could be better, but he's definitely not, the weakest killer. On to the next one, Wraith. Wraith was also reworked a little bit ago. I know they nerfed his lunge after he comes out of cloak, but Wraith is very solid. He's very, very solid. Wraith is very solid. His mobility is up there, and also his add-ons. That silent clapper to just sneak up on survivors, crazy. You know what I mean? If you set up your perks to be more of a stealthy killer, and you throw on the silent clapper, you're good. You're golden. You know what I mean? He's very solid. He can consistently get you. I would say 3 or 4, depending on the squad you're going against. Don't get me wrong. I mean, at the end of the day, every single killer on this list can get absolutely destroyed by a very good survivor team. That's a given. But if you're a very good killer and you pick up Wraith and you throw on the silent bell clapper with the other add-on that makes it so you uncloak quicker, shit, you're golden. Because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, back in the day, Wraith's silent bell clapper made it so your bell was silent, but it took a little bit longer for you to uncloak. I'm not sure if that's the case anymore, but if it isn't, I haven't played Wraith in a minute, but I do have a lot of experience playing Wraith, but Wraith is a very solid killer. He can get you the kills that you need. He can get you the kills that you need. It's simple. It's you know what I mean? It's if you're tired of getting slapped up playing weak ass killers and you pick up Wraith, it'll be a game changer. You know what I mean? It'll be a game changer. But Wraith, I would confidently say very solid, very solid. Hillbilly, he was changed as well. Hillbilly, with his changes as well as his add-on, all of his add-ons being fucking gutted, and him just, really being reliant on the person who's controlling him, could be better. A good Billy can clap the whole team. You know what I mean? Granted, I would say a lot of the Billies that I played against as Survivor mainly slug. But either way, I mean, if that's their playstyle, that's their playstyle. Fuck it. But a good Billy player has disgusting flicks. Just the flicks are out of this world. And not to mention his mobility. Can go across the map at what is it, like 200% speed or something like that? Also his add-ons. I know there's an add-on I think that makes it so if he starts his chainsaw outside of and a survivor's outside of his terror radius, they won't even hear him coming. That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? And this is an insta-down killer. Billy is an insta-down killer. So he has high potential, but could be better. He's not weak, because in the right hands, or if you just practice, you could be a force to be reckoned with Billy. He also too has some pretty cool cosmetics. Nurse, come on now, godly. Let's stop playing. You know what I mean? There isn't a content creator alive who wouldn't put Nurse as a godly character. And if they say otherwise, they're lying. Either they're lying or they just hate Nurse. Because at the end of the day, Nurse, no one on this entire list, and I don't even think in the future, could compete with Nurse. Mobility out of this world. Her skill ceiling is to the heavens. You can go against a great nurse, you can go against a crazy nurse, you can go against one of the best nurses you've ever seen in your life. But the crazy thing is that she's still not as strong as she could be. You could still get better with Nurse. It takes a lot of skill just to get a gen grab with Nurse against competent survivors. Nurse, come on now. Nurse has got no need. There's no need to say more. Michael Myers, Mr. Mikael Myers. A lot of people put him on D tier because of his chase, his looping, his anti-looping, and everything like that. They put him on D tier. They put him on a low tier, but in reality, Michael Myers, very solid. Bro, Michael Myers is very solid. He's very solid. And I'm going to tell you why. One word. Tombstone. That's it. You don't even need infinite tier 3. You throw on a Tombstone piece with the I think the J. Myers Memorial is the other add-on. You throw that on, you have at least 2 survivors immediately dead before the second gen gets done. I would even put him before Wraith. I would even put him before Wraith. Because Wraith can't flat out kill people. Myers can. And people, of course there are people don't put Myers, they don't put the respect on Myers' name because they don't want to play like that. They don't want to, I don't want to put on a Tombstone piece and be that kind of killer. Okay, then I guess you don't want to win. That's what the game's about, right? Of course the game's about having fun, yeah, but at the end of the day, no one wants to lose. And if you don't want to lose, put on Tombstone piece for Myers. And I guarantee you'll get 1 to 2 kills. Guaranteed, at the very least. If you don't, if for whatever reason you're not getting, if you put on Tombstone piece on a Myers, and for whatever reason you don't end that game with at least 2 kills, then at that point I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you kind of you may have to practice on, you're either spending too much time in chase. At that point, you're not using Myers the way he's supposed to be used. You need to throw on Lethal Pursuer, throw on that Tombstone piece, find him, stock him, kill him. That's it. And then what's cool too is that there's a workaround that survivors can do. That if they hop on a locker, usually they don't know you're running Tombstone piece. 9 times out of 10, survivors will assume, depending on how soon or how long your tier 3 has been popped, 9 times out of 10, the survivors will assume that you just have infinite tier 3. That's what I do when I play against Myers with my friends and stuff like that. We always assume whenever it's a Myers that they have permanent tier 3 until about a minute or 2 into the tier 3 music and the exposed effect. If it doesn't go away, we assume it's tier 3, permanent tier 3. But the Tombstone piece does make it so, yes, you can kill survivors, but once you kill the first one, you lose tier 3 and you go back down to I think like 25% of tier 2. So depending on how many survivors you've stocked, you have about enough left to get maybe 1 more if you play your cards right, maybe even 3. Not too sure exactly. I've never done the math, but you can for sure get 2, at least 2. But back to what I was saying. Survivors hop on a locker. That after they've seen you killed one of their teammates, they know you have a Tombstone piece, obviously. Now, when you're going towards someone else and they see you popped your tier 3, they're probably gonna hop on a locker to try to counteract your Tombstone. You know what you can do? And you know what I don't know what it is, but I haven't seen too many people do this. You know what I do when a survivor hops on a locker to avoid being killed by me? I grab them, right? I grab them, pull them out the locker, snatch them out that fucking locker, go to a corner of the map, and then keep dropping them, picking them up, dropping them, picking them up. So then when they break out and they're trying to run away, that during that chase, I grab them and kill them. Because 9 times out of 10, they're too far away from a locker. Either they're too far away from a locker, or I grab them right as they're trying to go into a locker. But that's all you got to do. It's not hard. You know what I mean? It's not hard. Hag, very solid, very solid. If I would, once again, even probably better than Wraith. Hag, it takes no skill to play Hag. It takes absolutely no skill to play Hag. Same thing with Michael. You can be the most brain dead killer main and pick up Tombstone Myers or what's the other one called, waterlogged shoe or something like that, add on for Hag, or rusty shackles or something like that for Hag, and you can just dominate. You know what I mean? You could just absolutely dominate. Hag is one of the strongest killers, unpopular opinion, mainly because of course of her traps. I mean, think about it. You hook a survivor. You throw on rusty shackles. You have on make your choice. You put a trap down. Survivors don't know that they just triggered a trap. You're across the map. You teleport back. You just got a free insta down. Rinse and repeat. It's not hard. Rinse and repeat. I don't even need to really speak on Hag because she's just very strong. You know what I mean? She's very, very strong. Doctor. Another killer who was changed a while ago. Not too many significant changes, but he was inevitably changed. And also one of the killers that I mained back in the day. So Doctor does hold a special place in my heart. But honestly, if I'm going to be real and unbiased, 50-50 with Doctor. It's a 50-50 with Doctor. Let me tell you why. The only thing Doc has going for him is his electricity, his shock therapy, and his static blast. Of course, yes, that's his power, I know. But for one, when Doctor first dropped, right? Before the changes to Doctor, I don't know, I mean, I'm pretty sure people know, but for the ones who don't, you never had to activate your static blast. Your static blast used to be a passive feature that was your terror radius. So I think its terror radius is 32 meters. So what would happen is, whenever Doctor was walking around, if a survivor ever entered his terror radius, they would automatically be shocked. They would automatically be madness tier 1, and it would alert you to let you know where they're at with the scream. And I think the longer they were in your terror radius, the more madness they would accumulate, and then you'd inevitably find them, shock them, this and that. Now they made it so his static blast it no longer lingers in his terror radius, but he has to actually manually activate his static blast within his terror radius. So when he's walking around, he does this little charge, takes about 2-3 seconds, and then once it activates, anyone in your terror radius gets shocked. And it does have a cooldown that can be altered with add-ons and everything like that. But I would say I consider that a nerf. I would consider that a nerf. Some people consider it a buff. Some people consider it just a change. No, I consider that a nerf. But he's a 50-50 because against good survivors, they pre-drop pallets. His main shock therapy comes by using it early when they're running to a pallet on the survivor to prevent them from throwing it down, vaulting it, stunning you with the pallet, anything like that. Or the same thing goes with windows. With its power, if you shock the survivor a couple seconds before they get to the window or the pallet, they can't do that. They can't use it. Same thing goes for when they're trying to do a gen or save someone from the hook. If they're madness tier 3, they can't do gens. They can't save a person from the hook. They can't heal. They can't heal other people, mainly because they're in madness tier 3. It makes it so they have to snap out of it before they can do that stuff, and that is good. That's why it's a 50-50. He's not bad enough to it's going to warrant the survivors a free escape if you don't play perfectly, but he's a 50-50 because it really just depends on the survivors you go against. Those survivors who are very well experienced, and you may even have that survivor who throws on Calm Spirit, which completely negates his screaming and him knowing the survivor screaming and him knowing where you're at. With good survivors and competent and very well competent survivors who pre-drop pallets, who throw them down early, who know how to mind game, you're gonna have a rough time with Doctor. You're going to have a very rough time. One of the upsides for Doctor is he is a blood point machine. Okay, he's single-handedly one of the only blood point farming machines. His power is considered deviousness, I believe. So every time you use your power as a killer, you earn points in the deviousness category. What I used to do back in the day is throw on what was that perk called? Distressing, to increase my terror radius, and I think it increases your terror radius like 30% or something like that, and it also gives you blood points. Extra 100% more blood points in that category, in the deviousness category. You throw on that perk distressing with barbecue and chili, you're shitting out blood points. You're gonna have more blood points than you know what to do with. A couple of games like that, you're fucking set. You're golden. You know what I mean? So Doctor still is very viable for blood point farming, most definitely. But as far as games go, it's a 50-50. You need to play perfectly with Doctor, And even then, you have to make sure that the survivors you're playing against aren't fucking strong as shit. And especially if you're on a very survivor-sided map against very strong survivors, you're probably going to be in that 50th percentile of losing. But that's doctored for you. Huntress, very solid. Very solid. You know what? I love Huntress. I love Huntress. The only downside I could ever even say about Huntress is indoor maps. Huntress may not be that strong on indoor maps, especially maps with houses, like Haddonfield, Badam, the Stranger Things map when it was still around. The game map is probably the only map that I could ever think that she may be very good on, as far as an indoor map. But even then, she may struggle on that indoor map. And for that reason, I can't put her in godly, because she would struggle against. Her weakness to me is maps, is the map location and the location you're playing at. If it wasn't for that, she would probably be in the godly tier. Of course, everyone should know Huntress. She's a default killer. She can throw hatchets. She even has an iridescent add-on that makes it so her hatchets will one-shot you. They down you immediately. Granted, you can only carry one hatchet at a time, but think about it. I mean, you're literally walking around like tier 3 Myers. Granted, yeah, and on top of that, Myers has to chase you. She doesn't. She doesn't even have to chase you to down you. She could be cross map. If she has a shot with insta down hatchets, you're going down. It doesn't matter. And the worst thing is, you won't even know she's throwing it at you. That's Huntress is very, very solid. Very solid. Very solid. She is a little bit on the slower side, because of her mobility and hatchets. But even then, there's an add-on that makes it so what I think another iridescent add-on, when she has no hatchets, she walks like a normal speed kill. I think 110, 115. I'm not sure, but her add-ons, she could be very add-on reliant. But even without her add-ons, a good Huntress can flick. A good Huntress will get those random snipes. A good Huntress will just know where you're running to, and just slap you with a hatchet. That's it. Like that. No more needs to be said, bro. Huntress is very, very solid. Bubba, Leatherface. I want to put him in could be better, but his you know what? Even godly, he can guarantee you some kills. He's not map reliant. Do I want to put him in godly or very solid? You know what? Fuck it. Bubba. The only reason why I'm putting Bubba in the godly category with Nurse, some people are going to be like, oh my god, what the fuck are you doing? But think about it. Bubba, right, with a basement build. Need I say more? That's it. That's the hot take. Bubba basement. That's it. Like, there's no more that needs to be said. If Leatherface hooks you in the basement, he will guarantee 2 kills. Guaranteed. It doesn't matter. You could have just bought the game today and buy Bubba. You hook someone in the basement, it's over. The team will now crumble, depending on how many gens are left. But 9 times out of 10, once the game starts, there's 5 gens left. The first person you find, if you throw them in the basement, it's over. That person will die on the first hook. That's it. People are gonna probably, oh my god, you put Bubba in godly? Bro, Bubba is very, very godly. You can turn games around with Bubba. The thing is with Bubba too is you can't unhook in Bubba's face. Just like Billy, you cannot unhook in Bubba's face. Even if you have borrowed time, you could have a syringe, you could have a boon. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Freddy. 50-50. It's a 50-50 with Freddy. It is a 50-50 with Freddy. Mainly because he got nerfed to oblivion. He's trash. He's very trash. His add-ons are probably the most the most useless add-ons I've ever seen in my life. They might as well have just gave him just one add-on that makes it so you either want pallets or snares, dream pallets or dream snares. That's it. Everything else, useless. But then again, he's not a free escape because, his mobility is very, very good. He can teleport to whatever gen he wants, and 9 times out of 10, if you're playing against an experienced Freddy, they'll fake like they're teleporting to the gen, but in reality they're just walking towards it. So that kind of makes you run off the gen towards him when he was never going to teleport to the gen in the first place. And for that reason, he's a 50-50. You still need a little bit of a brain to escape from a Freddy, especially when it comes to pallets. If you don't know where normal pallets spawn and you're going up against a pallet Freddy, yeah, good luck, because you won't know what's real from fake. Freddy is a solid choice, but don't expect to always win with Freddy. Don't expect to get, I would say, at least 1 kill with Freddy, if that. If you're going against a team that's godly, good luck with that as well. But 50-50, I would say. The pig, oof, free escape, damn it. Yeah, I'm gonna just go ahead and do that. The pig, she's weak. She's very weak. She's very weak, and let me tell you why. Before the pig changes, because she got changed, before the pig changes, there used to be a mechanic where if you had a helmet on, one of the traps, and if you had one of the traps on, and I think if as soon as you were unhooked, that's when your trap was activated. As soon as you were unhooked, they changed it to make it so when a gen gets completed, your trap is now activated. I don't know why. I will never understand why. Because now all it does is allow survivors to spread out that gen. I mean, if you're going against if you're playing pig, and you're going against a 4-man Swift, right? They obviously know how pig works. All they have to do at that point, if they're good at looping, all they have to do is 99 a gen. Granted, if she doesn't have ruin, but 99 a gen. Okay, well, the gen didn't pop, so I'm still good. My trap isn't going off yet. I can do whatever I want because my trap isn't off yet. But it's not, to me, it's just not that fair. You know what I mean? Like, it's not ideal. It doesn't make sense why they would do that. Like, she was fine before when the survivor got the unhook. They had no time to do anything else but get that helmet off. And for that, I feel like she's a free escape. Granted, of course, if you're going against brain dead survivors, you'll be able to you'll be able to kill them. But no, if the survivors have at least 1 brain cell, get ready to be teabagged in your face at the exit gates. Clown, free escape. Clown is by far the trashest killer, even with his changes. Clown is very terrible. Clown is just ass. Very, very ass. Even when the changes to him, he doesn't have any slowdown when he's holding his bottles back. He only has slowdown, I think, when he's reloading. And even then, I believe you can speed that up. But even his sprint burst bottles, trash. You know what I mean? Trash. It's trash. The only thing that I could say about Clown is that he's annoying to go against, but you're going to, 9 times out of 10, any competent survivor team, you will survive with going against a Clown. He has too many things reliant on him. You basically need to not only play perfectly, you need to make sure it's a map in your favor. You need to make sure you have the right add-ons. You need to make sure the survivors don't know what the fuck they're doing. You need to make sure there's too many. There's too many things for Clown to be viable. And with all that into consideration, you're looking at a free escape playing with Clown. Get ready for that free escape. Spirit, godly. Spirit still is godly even after the changes. She got fucking gutted because survivors didn't know. They said that they had that the only reason why she got changed was because survivors, mainly survivors, would say there's no counterplay to Spirit. If you've never played the Spirit, what she would be able to do is just sit there. She has this phase walk, and she would just sit there and not do anything and the survivors wouldn't be able to tell if she's phasing or not. But they changed it so now you will hear a sound when she phases, and it's a directional sound, so you know which side or which direction she's coming from. Stupid. Like, I understand what they were trying to do, but stupid. Her changes were unnecessary in my opinion. It's not. It wasn't ever that hard to play against the spirit. If you see her standing still at a pallet, just run away. I don't see the big deal with that. But I guess survivors since they weren't able to slap the pallet down on their head or loop them for 8 years, they wanted complete changes to spirits. So their wish was behavior's command. But even now, I mean, even with her changes, there are still a lot of crazy things you can do with her. She's still very good, very good. Now you can't pick her up and just expect a 4K. But actually, you know what? Just for that reason, since you can't just pick her up and expect a 4K, I'll make sure she's very solid. I'll change that. She's very solid. Because again, you cannot just pick up spirit and slap with her. You know what I mean? You still need to learn the ropes with her. You still need to practice with her, because when you phase, you can't see survivors. So for that reason, she's not that easy to pick up. Legion, free escape. No, I don't need to say any more. Legion's a free escape. He's very weak. Plague, very solid. You know what? I'm gonna do it to him. Godly. Plague is probably one of the lowest tier characters that people would say, but she's actually godly. Like, with taking everything into consideration, Plague is godly. Like, she single-handedly counters boons. Single-handedly. Because 9 times out of 10, when you're playing killer, there's going to be a boon in your game. So she single-handedly counters that. When she throws up on you and you're broken, you can't heal. The only thing she has going for her is if you slug and you run that boon where you can get up. But even then, guess what? You're broken. Like, you have to cleanse. The only way to get around her vomit is to give her a power to be able to injure you with a projectile. I don't need to say anymore. Plague is godly. A great plague will slap any team. It doesn't matter what they are or who they are. Ghostface, free escape. Very trash. Well, actually, since he has insta-down capabilities, 50-50. He's a 50-50 killer. Mainly, the only reason why you might win is because he's an insta-down killer, and he can, down you in one shot. The other 50% is because all of the bullshit you have to go through to get that. He's kind of like Myers, but a little bit different as far as stalking. He can stalk them all at the same time, but you have to fill up the meter to make that individual survivor exposed, versus Michael, where he just gets the exposed status to everybody at once. But Ghostface could be better, could be way better, but he's not necessarily a free escape, which is why he's a 50-50. You're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some. It's a given. If you pick up Ghostface, you're going to win, you're gonna lose. It just depends on just a lot of things. Demogorgon, very solid. Very solid. Let me tell you why. Red Moss add-on with, I think the other add-on's called 11's Soda Can. Throw on Devour with maybe Undying if you want. You're guaranteed Devour every time. Try me. You're guaranteed Devour. You put one portal on your Devour totem, put the other portal on your Undying totem. Those add-ons make it so whenever someone walks near that portal, they get their, you know where they're at. You just teleport back to that totem. Boom. Rinse and repeat. It's neat. I don't need to say anymore. Demogorgon can single-handedly, is one of the only killers aside from the godly ones who can preserve a totem like no other. Demogorgon is the totem king. Oni could be better. Could be better. Could be way better. He is an insta down killer as well. He could be better though. I mean, it takes you. He hits you. You drop blood every time you fast vault. You drop more blood, and eventually he can insta down you when he gets his power. One of the main differences is the fact that that speed. You have to know how to flick with Oni depending on the map. God forbid you ever use him on an indoor map. Because if you choose Oni and you get sent to an indoor map, good luck. That's all I gotta say. Deathslinger could be better. He was recently nerfed as well, because once again he had quote unquote no counterplay. But keep in mind there are still god loops in the game that have no counterplay. But they're still in the game. But the second a killer has no counterplay, oh yeah, let me gut that killer. Let me change everything about him, right? But Deathslinger, very viable. If you've ever had a game where you're going against survivors and they're just being toxic, they're teabagging at the gate, they're doing this and this and that, pick Deathslinger. I will bet you any amount of money that they won't do that anymore, because the second you walk up to the gate and they're teabagging, just shoot them, reel them back in. Granted, of course, if they're injured, it'll be better if they're healthy. But Deathslinger, he has a lot of hidden potential, especially with the right builds. Not to mention he came with one of the greatest perks ever now, which is almost even meta, I dare I say, which is Dead Man Switch. He came with a perk called Dead Man Switch that makes it so when survivors, after you hook someone, if the survivors let go of a djinn, that djinn is now blocked for I think 40 seconds. One of the greatest perks in the game. Pyramid Head, godly. I don't need to say anymore. This man can single-handedly negate Decisive Strike. He single-handedly negates that by sending you to a cage after they've touched the little fucking floor lasagna or whatever you want to call it. He single-handedly negates DS. DS is one of the strongest perks in the game that makes it so after you've been unhooked, if the killer picks you up again or tries to hook you again within I think a minute, you stun him for 5 seconds, one of the longest stuns in the game, and you can use all that time to make as much distance as you can. Not with Pyramid Head. Pyramid Head, if he downs you after you've just been hooked, he will send you to a cage, and he can also moor you. He's one of the only killers who can moor you after certain conditions are met. But Pyramid Head is a god. You know what I mean? Pyramid Head is very, very godly. He shuts down loops. He shuts them down. Ridiculous. You know what I mean? Blight, I'll put him above. He's not godly. I'll put him up here. The only reason why Blight is not godly is because if you're on any indoor map aside from the game, you're fucked. You will be bumping into everything. It doesn't matter what it is, you'll be bumping into it. A lot of people put Shadowborn on him to increase the field of view. But the thing is when you're playing at a top level and you're playing as Blight, you're gonna get that survivor with a flashlight. Okay. And now, if you don't know what Shadowborn does, is it increases your field of view to make it so you see wider, right? Now, if you can see wider, that means that you could be flashlighted at a wider angle. Not a good combination, flashlights with Shadowborn. But Blight, very high mobility, one of the best mobilities in the game, aside from maybe Nurse, Hag, and maybe Sadako, or even Spirit. But mobility is crazy, very, very crazy. He also relies on flicks, and he also relies on not getting a very cluttered indoor map. Even if you don't get an indoor map, for whatever reason, when you play Blight, you're gonna feel like you have fucking butter and oil all over your body because you're gonna be slipping off of shit. Twins, godly, very godly, very godly. She's the only killer in the game as of right now who is a 2-in-1 killer. That being said, let's say you're playing on the game map, and if you're familiar with that map, everybody who's doing the djinn by the staircase that you have to drop down, and it takes you to one of the god palettes in the game, she can literally just body block it and then hop on her brother Victor and go around downing people. She can camp hooks and still go out and kill people. No other killer can do that. She can literally get off of Charlotte, her body, near a hook, not too close because it won't let you, but get off her body as Victor and go around, the map, harassing other survivors, and the second they get an unhook, go back to Charlotte and down them. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. She's very, very crazy. Trickster, 50-50 with Trickster. It's not hard to dodge his blades. It is not hard to dodge his blades unless you run to a dead zone in an open area. It's not hard to dodge his blades. Then again, Trickster can, on the killer side of things, Trickster can be very. He's a good harasser. You know what I mean? He's a good harasser. They did nerf him back in the day too, because people didn't like how many blades he could carry. But for the most part, I mean, Trickster, it's a 50-50 with him. You know, you could be the best Trickster, but you make one mistake, you go for that reload when you shouldn't have gone for that reload. Guess what? You have a 4-man escape. Nemesis could be better. Nemesis could be better. There's too many things wrong with his zombies to make him anything better than could be better. His zombies are the most, of course they're zombies, so they're the most idiotic things I've ever played, or have ever even tried to use. They get stuck too many times. They need to be reworked, or something, because they screw you over more than they help you. Granted, you could also have those zombies that are perfectly aligned. They're bouncing between a gen and a hook. That's probably the best feeling you'll ever have playing Nemesis, when you see you have a hooked person near a generator and a zombie in the area. That's like the best feeling ever in the world. Pinhead could be better. He was also nerfed. He was nerfed. People didn't like his playstyle. People didn't like the fact that he could use his power and injure you and still have chains coming. But from the survivor side of things, bro, he's probably one of the best killers at harassing. If not Trickster, if not Charlotte, it would probably have to be Pinhead. He's very good at harassing. That's literally what his power consists of. His chain hunt literally is meant for harassing. I would say he could be better with his mobility, as well as maybe a little bit changes to his little portal that he opens up. And his add-ons are kind of meh. But with the right add-ons, right build, he can slap. But him himself could need a little bit of a buff. The artist, very solid. Very, very solid. She shuts down loops with her birds. The only reason why, actually, nah, she's not very solid, but she could be better, because, for one, when she gets birds on you, all you gotta do is hop in a locker. That's all you gotta do, and then the birds are gone. Then it's so stupid. She activates her power, shoots a bird at you, right? I think if the birds are right on you, and you doing the action to get the birds off of you, by the time her power comes back to send another bird, the birds are already off of you. You know what I mean? It's pointless. Even then, flashlights can be used to disarm her birds, just like the hag traps. Flashlights can be used to disarm them. She's countered at every step. She's countered. She needs to have something. She needs to have something that survivors can't do anything about. And last but not least, Sadako could be better. Could be better. It's way too hard to get condemned on anybody. Way too hard. Even then, if you're not running Save the Best for Last, good luck trying to get anybody condemned and moriable. Once again, she's just like Pinhead in the realms of being able to kill survivors without a mori. If the survivors are holding onto a tape, or if they're just not putting the tapes in the machines, or if they're always by a TV, and they end up becoming condemned, you'll see where they're at and you'll be able to mori them. But the sad thing is that let's say they're moriable, right? They have a tape, they're running to the TV, they're fully healed. You could be right in front of them. If they're putting in the tape and you hit them, by the time your hit animation is done, they've put the tape in, and now they're not moriable anymore. It's ridiculous. Like it's ridiculous. She's great with mobility as far as television hopping, but even then, if a survivor turns off your TV, that shit will not be back on for the next 30 minutes. I kid you not. She's I feel like I may be wrong on this, but hot take is I feel like honestly her lunge is the farthest lunge, is like a Demogorgon fucking shred. It's ridiculous. Like her lunge feels so long. It's like you have a stack of coup de grace on. But her with the right build will slap any team of survivors. She has 0 anti-loop, which is why she could be better. But she's very solid in my opinion. But this is the tier list. It's like I said, a lot of you guys may not agree with it, but hey, like I said, I've been playing a lot of killer. I played every single one of these killers, and I'm telling you right now, if you feel like this tier list is wrong, tell me why. You know what I mean? Tell me why. Don't just be like, oh, you're wrong. Tell me why. Like, I can guarantee you, if you're gonna tell me that this list is wrong or that somebody should not be where they should be, I will counter with the perfect build to put on them to justify why they're where they're at right now. And if you want to see me play, a killer with the build that I'm suggesting, hop in my Twitch, twitch.tv/rareomen. I play, like I said, I play all these killers. And if you want to see me do a build and prove that they're where I say they should be, then hop in my Twitch and we could talk about it. But until next time, like I said, I post here and there on YouTube some clips from my Twitch, mainly live on there. So if you ever want to watch, survivors against, any one of these any one of these tiered killers, then just hop in the Twitch, give me a build, and we'll get it popping. You know what I mean? Until next time, my guys, you have a safe one, and bye bye.